Get out the insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends, as this video is brought to you by drroto.com.
Good morning, my friends. It is time again for In the Cup with Danger and Adam. We are going to head all the way over to the Texas Children's Houston Open. It's a mouthful. Why do they insist on mouthfuls for these tournament names, Adam?
I mean, ask the sponsors. It's whoever pays the money to be sponsors. So we'll just call it the Texas Open. How about that?
How about the Houston Open?
It sounds weird to call it the Texas Children's Open. The Texas Children's Houston Open. Yeah, just Houston Open would work.
That Houston Open, good. I think, is fine. I think that's fine. We'll go with that. Anyways, so the tour, it went west, it went east. Now we're dead in the middle in Texas. Tell us about it. Do we have weather concerns? Tell me about the course. Am I looking for Johnny Vegas? Is it a long baller course?
Man, you played Johnny Vegas last week, I think. And,
it was a disaster. It wasn't good.
He had a very, very rough stretch there. No, it's not Johnny Vegas week, although I think he does play well in Texas historically. But yeah, after the California swing coming from Hawaii and then over to Florida, we now work our way somewhere in the middle into Texas. So this course, Memorial Park, par 70, long par fours, Danger. We've got some 490 plusers, 4 of those to be exact, and then 2 par fives, one of which is over 600 yards. So it is definitely going to help to hit it long. We've got some par threes, a couple of them pretty short with a 155 and a 167. And then we've got a 182, which is still relatively short for the PGA Tour, and then only one over 200 yards. So iron play will be important, but I'm not so keen on guys that don't hit it very far. So yeah, Texas tends to bring a lot of wind. I don't think we're going to see a real crazy weather week down in Houston. I was actually conversing with my friend in Houston who lives there, and he was saying the weekend is actually looking pretty decent. So not really factoring weather waves in. Last week, just to do a quick little side note, if you did not factor in any of the weather wave stuff that was going around, people were talking about one wave being super favorable compared to the other. It just wasn't the case. And that made for some pretty interesting ownership stuff. But Victor Hovland won it like 4% up. So I don't know. Yeah. The PGA'd last week. But no, over the weekend, it's actually going to get warmer and calmer. The storms and the weather might come through on Friday, but it looks like thunderstorms. So if it does hit, the guys are going to be off the course anyway. All in all, you got 2 guys at the top that are here, most likely, prepping for the Masters. Rory has shown better form, winning twice, while Scotty has kind of struggled to come back from the hand surgery after he cut himself on a wine glass over the holidays. Kind of a weird circumstance there, but I'm looking at Rory more as like a major league pitcher doing a minor league stint. He's proven, he knows what he's doing. He's just trying to test himself out for Augusta, get ready. And this course, they do trim around the greens. Super short. It's going to be very tight lies around the greens, similar to what you'll see around Augusta with a lot of runoffs. So a lot of guys are treating this as good prep for Augusta, those who are already in. And it is another chance for some of these lesser known guys that haven't gotten there yet, that aren't top 50 or haven't won an event in the last year to make it into Augusta. So I don't know. I'm pretty mildly excited for this one relative to what I expected coming in. It's a very interesting game theory week with those 2 big boys up top, who you are saying are almost must plays, at least one of the 2, huh?
I mean, I'm looking at people who can 10x, right? That's the first thing you do. And when I look at my models is there anybody that's got a wacky chance to like score huge? And my particular model really doesn't love the field this week. They like Rory, like Scotty, and everybody else is kind of in a blender right now. I don't know how you feel about that. I'm looking over at ownership at Data Golf, and it's kind of feeling the same thing. You got Scotty up at about 36. You got Rory up about 27, 28, and everybody else like in the 12 to 15 range. So Yeah, man. I mean, the models are saying stars and scrubs this week. I hate playing that way, but it just may be the thing.
Yeah, well, a lot of times we talk about, play the player or the players who are clearly the best in the field or the best in that price range. Like sometimes guys will stand out in the lower price ranges that are much better overall players, even if their recent form doesn't show it. There's a long-term baseline there, and these two guys are definitely the class of the field. I mean, the third price guy outside of those two is JJ Spawn.
Right.
Now, I know he finished second, lost in a playoff to Rory at the Players a couple weeks ago. Aaron Rye's there. Aaron Rye's a good ball striker, but these guys are not on the level or anywhere close of Rory and Scotty. So yeah, those guys do make for pretty comfy plays where you figure in this strength of field where off the tee play does help quite a bit. You want to have, shorter irons into these long par fours and take advantage of the par fives when you can. They seem like guys that you're going to want. I'm personally in GPPs taking a very contrarian stance, and I'm going with some of the lower price range, thinking that, like we talked about, Rory's not going to be as motivated. Scotty hasn't quite shown it, especially on the greens yet. I mean, he's been bleeding strokes on the greens. He lost strokes in his last two events. Still finished T20 at the Players, but only one top 10 in his last four events, and an 11th at Arnold Palmer. Other than that, he's outside the top 20. So I don't know. I'm not in love with Scotty here at that price. So I'm going a little more balanced and kind of risking it that these guys, while they might pay off, I think the balanced lineup will give you more guys that finish in the top 10, top 15 if you do it right, and ultimately will help score you more DraftKings points is kind of my thinking on it.
Right on. Well, let's talk about that next pile of people in the 9K range. My model says Jason Day's the next man up. Does that make sense to you? I know he withdrew from the last tournament from a little illness. He has played well. He has played well so far this season.
Yeah, Day's been showing some flashes. He's had a couple top tens this year. Most recently at the API, he did withdraw just before the event, helping Danny Walker get into the Players Championship and have a little Cinderella run there to a T6, which was my favorite story of the week. But yeah, I think Day does give you some upside and probably reasonably low ownership because there is that perceived risk of him just withdrawing or getting vertigo and having some issues, and that is real. But Australian players tend to play well in Texas. It's similarly windy. You gotta be able to flight the ball and shape the ball into that wind or ride it when you want to. So he makes for a pretty interesting pivot play, and at his A game is certainly right there in that class, just below Scotty and Rory. The guy I'm looking at as a pivot here in this range is a Texan, I think. Anyway, he played at Georgia. He's shown some good signs in Texas in the past, and that is actually Davis Thompson. It looks like projections show pretty even popularity between these guys in this range, although I'm showing Finau is the most popular in the 9K range. That doesn't really compute with me. But a lot of guys in that 15% roster range there. So I like Davis Thompson out of that bunch as far as a pivot play. And Aaron Rye, I think, is going to end up being the chalkiest guy in this 9K range. Like, I know Scotty and Rory will be super popular, but Rye's course history here is fantastic. He's got, I think, 2 7th place finishes and top 15 outside of that in his last 3 events. He's also trending with his form. So I think a lot of people, just because he feels comfy, are going to end up clicking on him. 3 straight top 15 finishes coming into the event, 3 straight top 15 finishes at this event. The form, the course history, it's all popping, and he looks good in the models. So he's the guy that I think if you want the ownership, if you can handle it, if you're not going Scotty or Rory, it's a guy you could start with. You could get 2 guys in the 9K range and balance yourself out pretty well down below.
I like it. I got a couple of people that pop in my leverage stats as I like them in the 8K range. Excuse me. One of them that pops up, and I'm looking at some pretty high ownership here, but he does pop in the model, in Stefan Jager. What do we think of our man Jager?
Well, Jager, this is the event last year. I think Scotty had won. He had won a few beforehand, and he won the next couple afterwards, including the Masters. And Jager was the guy that broke the streak. Jager won here last year. He's been showing some signs. I do like Steven Yeager there at the top of the 8K range. Again, very spread out. You're showing all but two of the guys projected to be between 10 and 15% in this 8K range. And we've got, 10 of them total, or 11 total. So, yeah, I don't mind Yeager at all. I think he's a guy, if you pair him with, we've got some values down below we'll talk about. If you pair him with Rye and maybe Jason Day, then go Yeager and kind of differentiate down below. That's a pretty solid way in my mind to start a lineup. You want to talk about a pivot play that I like?
You know that I always like the pivot plays.
Well, I'm looking down below here in the 8K range. Like Bridgman's been playing some great golf. Can't fault you if you want to play him. Alex Smalley was playing fantastic leading up to the Valspar where he missed the cut. Top 20s in 3 straight events before that. So Smalley, I couldn't fault you for playing him as well. But a guy with some upside, a guy who's already won this year, who's great off the tee, which you need here, and who can get really hot with the putter is Thomas Detry. Now, I don't know what your models say about him, but when he's good, when he plays well, he's pretty strong off the tee, hits it plenty long. He's played well in some of these majors, and we didn't talk about it, but this course has only yielded winning scores between 10 and 16 under the last 3 years. So I don't expect it to be a shootout. And Detry has shown he can play on tougher courses. You got to pair a good hot putter with a solid off the tee play. So especially if he's a little bit lower in popularity than the aforementioned Smalley and Bridgman, I like him as a pivot play quite a bit in this 8K range.
So my model likes him okay, but does have him as the second highest owned, which is always a little different. Our ownership between Data Golf and Hater is always a little interesting. But it's got Detry as the second highest owned in this range. But the numbers are good. The numbers are just fine. And yeah, I'm into it. I can't get away from Max Grazerman, man. I mean, I think I brought him up the first time we were chatting about golf this year. He popped in the first couple of models before we were doing our show. And I think he's paid off quite a bit. I've got him as probably the lowest owned in this range in my personal model here. So I'm going to have a hard time getting away from Grazerman at 8,100.
Yeah, he's been up and down. You know, he's had some missed cuts. He's had a hard time putting 4 rounds together really during this calendar year. Did finish T11 at the Cognizant, more difficult course. He's pretty good in Florida. I don't know much history about how he plays in Texas. He's a Duke product, so he's kind of played a lot of his golf on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. So both he and Smalley, right there at $100 more, are products of Duke University, which is interesting. I am not going Grazerman myself this week. I just like the other guys in this 8K range better. I feel more comfortable with Smalley and Bridgman. And then we talked about Detry as that possible pivot. I think Detry is going to end up being probably the 4th most popular guy in this range behind Bridgman, Smalley, and Yeager. That's why I'm kind of leaning towards him. And I could see Michael Kim getting some ownership too, given that, he made the cut of the number last week, missed the players, but before that he had some great form. So
yeah, I actually have Michael Kim as the 3rd highest owned guy on the slate behind the top 2 guys.
Yeah, I've kind of not my favorite feature by Data Golf. I don't think it's as accurate as some other projections. So
sure,
I use it as a reference, but it's not.
I tell you what, buddy, we're in what is this match 6 in our friends and family league, and yeah. I think that I have had 3 golfers. Uh-oh, did I lose you? Are you there, Adam? No, I lost him. Give him a minute. He'll be right back. We'll be right back. There he is. We found him.
Match 6. Yes, sir.
Anyways, we are on match 6 of the Friends and Family League, and I have had an incredible run, sir. I have put 6 golfers in the lineup every week, and 3 of them typically finish in the top 10 to 14. And the other 3 typically have missed the cut. It's been a really incredible run by me, if you ask me. I mean, you think if you're looking and consistently putting 3 guys in the top 15 in your DFS lineup in a contest with only 18 players, that you would be near the top of that contest, sir. But I think that until my second place last contest, I was in dead last. Pretty amazing. I'm getting literally 3 top 12 people and 3 missed cuts almost every week. So let's try to set that straight this week, shall we?
All right. Well, I'm gonna look at your lineup. I'm gonna try and pinpoint who those guys are that are gonna do well. I'm gonna bet them for top 20.
It's really been impressive. I'm not gonna lie. All right, let's get down to that 7K range. Kick me off the Joe Highsmith train, man, because I've been loving him. The model likes him. The price is right. Tell me about Joe Highsmith and why I should put him in the lineup and watch him miss the cut.
Well, go ahead. He might be one of those guys that burns you, but he's been playing well. He kind of came back down to earth after a win at the Cognizant difficult golf course there. Just had a ridiculous Sunday, making birdies. Some other guys were struggling to make pars, but missed the cut at API and then came back with T20 and T22 finishes on the strength of his approach play and his putting. And as we've talked about in the past, if you can pair those two things, you're going to make a lot of birdies, and that seems to be sustaining for him. I mean, he's gained 6 strokes, almost 4 strokes, and then 3 strokes on the field in his last 4 events on the greens. Approach play dipped down at API. Other than that, he's been gaining like over 2 strokes per tournament. I don't love the off the tee play, but I couldn't talk you out of Highsmith if you want to play him at that price. His projected ownership is not looking super high, but that's data golf, so it might not be accurate. I think Jake Knapp is going to be the most popular guy up here, and the pivot that I love off of him, super long hitter, played great last week, just couldn't get any putts to drop down the stretch, is Kevin Yu at 7,700. Absolutely love the way his tee to green game is trending. His off the tee and approach game last week gained 8 strokes on the field over the course of the 4 rounds. And he's been looking very, very consistent on approach play. If his putting can just be solid, he's a guy who can still hit mid irons into these long par 4s that we talked about. Mm-hmm. So Yu was kind of my favorite guy in the top half of this range. Kitayama, I would say, could make a nice pivot, but he burned me so hard last week. I just can't do it again.
So here's a fun one. They've added a new column to my model that I didn't notice before, and it is odds to make the cut. The highest odds to make the cut in the 7,000s. Well, is it the highest? It's the top 3 to make the cut in the 7,000s.
Is it your neighbor?
Is Davis Riley. He doesn't pop in any category. It's not good in the leverage score. It's not great in the ceiling score, but for some reason he's at 82% to make the cut. What's the deal with that? They just think he's gonna finish like 58th and
82%.
Super weird.
Hang on.
Super weird. They've got Kevin at 67, but Davis Riley at 82.
I've got Scotty at almost 88 and Rory just over 85%. Outside of that, Aaron Rye at 71 is the highest I've got on data golf.
Right? Isn't that weird?
This is a crazy disparity.
Is this just a I got to call James McCool up and say, hey, dude, there's something wrong with this Davis Riley stat?
Yeah, you probably should. I mean, he's been playing great. Like he finished T6 in Puerto Rico. He was contending until he kind of lost it on the back 9, and then followed it up with a seventh place finish at Valspar last week. Like he's been playing good golf. Approach play has been fantastic. He bleeds a lot of strokes off the tee, which I don't love. And I think because of his recent form, he is going to have some ownership. That's crazy. The projection for making the cut. Like,
I think that's an outlier of some kind.
I can't wrap my head around that. You know,
there's a problem there.
They did move this event last year. It was later in the season. Now it's in March. So guys are going to need to hit a little bit longer to succeed here than in the past. But with that being said, if you look at a guy who I would not expect to succeed at this course, given that you want long hitters here, it's Mackenzie Hughes. He's finished top 20 3 of the last 4 years, 14th, 16th, T7 and 21, and then T29 and 22. Like that's difficult to ignore right there. What do you show it? Excuse me, on projections for him ownership wise, since yours seems to be a little more accurate.
7%.
Okay, I can get on. That's about what I got. I can get on board with Mackenzie Hughes in the mid 7s. It's in weak fields when he's like 8,000, 8,500 up to 9K sometimes in these weaker fields. Not a big fan, but at $7,500, like he's very, very likely to make the cut. Probably more likely than Davis Riley, to be honest with you. So yeah, I don't mind Mac Hughes there, and he's not a guy I typically like. But when you're played that well, every single year for 4 straight years. It's hard to get away from.
Let me look at the leverage scores here and just run a couple names by you. The top leverage scores in the 7K range, Highsmith and you are up there. And then we have a guy that you're going to have to explain to me. I don't know who this is. Nicholas Norgard Moeller.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Score.
So it's kind of fun. We have Norgard Moeller. We have the Højgaard twins. And Data Golf only lists him as Nicholas Neugaard because they don't want to they don't even want to acknowledge his full name. But yeah, guy absolutely bombs it off the tee. Like, he will be one of the top 5 longest players in this field. So you can definitely hang your hat on that with him. He's had some decent finishes, T25 at the Cognizant, on the strength of his approach play and off the tee game. And yeah, I couldn't fault you for rostering him down at his price. He's a guy I've kind of had my eye on. You've also got some guys down here. It's a little bit of the guys who feel like they should be priced higher, like the way Novak's been playing this year, this winter into the spring. He's down there at 7,300. Sam Stevens flashed some form early in the year. And yeah, I mean, I could see either one of those guys popping, and they're looking relatively popular for being low 7Ks. Another guy that played pretty well last week that's really not looking good in the models, finished T16 last week. A lot of great putting, a lot of, uncharacteristically good approach play. So I don't necessarily think it's going to sustain, but Nico Echevarria, I just want to say that name. It's a fun name to say. He's right there at 74 as well.
Interesting. I think the only other people that pop in the leverage, there's 2 down here at 7,000 flat. And they actually are okay in the median scoring projection as well. And Carl Phillips and Matthew McCarty. Last 2 people that kind of pop up in the model.
Yeah, I think I do like Matt McCarty a lot. I think he's ready to pop up and contend. Gaining strokes off the tee the last 2 events consistently. Approach play has been solid above average, and he's been putting well. So he was a star. Like, he's the guy that everyone thought was going to break through and be the Korn Ferry Tour player to have a great year. It's really been Bridgman over him. But I do like the way his game is trending. I do like Matt McCarty a lot. You know who we have to talk about, Danger?
Who's that?
We have to. One, Victor Perez.
No, stop it.
Top 22s in his last 2 events. Putter got hot last week. Approach play has been good. 2 weeks in a row. He's gained over 8 strokes on the field the last 2 weeks. I really like Victor Perez this week at 7,100. I don't know what yours is showing, but I've got him projected less than 5%. Yeah, give me some Victor Perez, man.
2.8%, but I'm still not in.
Okay. Look, my boy here, Joel Dahmen as well at 7,100. I was on him with the Players, had a great second round to come back and make the cut after no birdies in his first round. Joel has played quite well at this tournament in the past. Last year, he was cut. However, T9 and 23, T5 and 22. He's believing in himself. I kind of like Joel Dahmen this week.
Nope. Pass.
Okay.
All right, let's get down to the cheapies. I got about 7 minutes and I got to get out of here. So short one today. I apologize. It's a spring break. I got the kids. I got the cousins. I got a lot to deal with around here, sir.
You got a full house?
I do have a full house. And I have work to do. I have like a real job. It's a weird thing. I don't understand. Someday I won't. Someday I'll be like you and just hang out on the golf course all day.
That's all I do, man.
That's right. It's a true story. There's a couple people that pop down here in the leverage score. Now, the leverage scores get a little wacky with the low price guys at them because it heavily looks at possible points per dollar. And of course, if you get hot in the 6K range, that you're going to pop on that. So we see a lot of high leverage scores down here. So this is where I need your help because, frankly, I don't know who half these people are. I don't follow golf like you do. I watch it on TV. I only see the names that pop up, So I need your help. Help me out with a couple of guys here. Is he number one? He is number one leverage in the 6K range. Quade Cummings. Who is this guy?
Quade Cummings.
What a great name. What a great golf name.
For sure. Look, he got cut at the Valspar last week.
Mm-hmm.
He had a couple weeks off before that. He finished T16 at Puerto Rico. We don't have strokes gained data on that particular week because there was no shot link. However, week before, gained about half a stroke round off the tee, about the same on approach to finish T32 at the Cognizant, finished T32 at Mexico, which what I like there is he did it with rough approach play, with very good putting, which he also had the week before at Farmers, where he missed the cut. But if these things come together, I don't mind Quaid as a little value play. I'm not sure I like him as the top leverage play down here. Or
he has the highest medium score. He has the highest leverage score, but that also is because he's only projected at 1% ownership. So 1% ownership plus 6,700 salary plus, being projected to actually miss the cut. But, hey, that's fine. That's what happens down here. You're not going to get much. There's only, one player in the 6,000 that actually has a more than 50% cut rate, beat the cut rate down here. And that is Aldrich Potgieter.
Oh, God. I highly disagree with that. Look, the kid matches it, but he's also missed his last 3 cuts. So how they're projecting him.
Things coming free, Adam. He's got it out of his way. It's time to make the cut, sir.
I appreciate your quick logic there. All right, now I'm considering him. No. Ryan Fox is a guy I like at 69. Unfortunately, I wrote him up already, and I still like him, but he's like 7% projected, which is very high for an event like this. We've also got Alejandro Tosti. Last year, I believe he finished tied with Scotty Scheffler as runner-up at this event. There was like 10 guys that finished T2 last year.
I think we both played him in this event last year. This sounds very familiar.
We were talking about Toasty. I do remember talking about Toasty this time of year, and this might have been an event we rostered him. But
can I ask you about one more guy with an incredible name?
Yeah.
I just love the way it's spelled. Pearson Cootie.
Yeah, it looks like Pierce Session, doesn't it?
It's Pierce as in I pierced your armor with SON on the end. That's the most incredible spelling of Pearson I've ever seen. I love it. But he does pop in the leverage score, sir. Not so much in the median scoring, but 40% odds to make the cut, which isn't bad in the 6,000 range.
Yeah, no, I actually like him. He's a UT product. Played at Texas alongside his brother Parker. So the Cootie brothers are guys that have been expected to sort of pop here. He's been playing some Corn Ferry Tour events, finished T9 and T2 back-to-back weeks back in February, and then got cut at the Cognizant, T40 at Puerto Rico, so not great, but not exactly Houston. It's not Houston's not Austin, but I still like him to possibly pop and give you some good reasons to play him. A guy that we got to mention down here at 6,900 always plays well this time of year. Charlie Hoffman, man, he's old, but he's still getting it done. Getting it done.
He's dead to me as soon as he lost all of his hair.
I know, man. I loved the flowing blonde mane. That's hard to beat.
It was really.
Did you see guys in the 6,000 range? But did you see Adam Hadwin last week get pissed off and take it out unintentionally on a sprinkler head? He just slammed his wedge into the ground, and the ground happened to be right where a sprinkler head was, and the sprinkler just went crazy. The water was flying everywhere. He kind of turned around, tried to fix it. It looked all, Canadian sheepish like, oh no, what do I do? Can someone help this out? I got to go hit a tee shot. But I don't like him, but that was a funny side note.
That's funny. How about down at 6,300, who has had a couple of nice rounds this year? Not a ton all put together, but a couple nice rounds. Frankie Capon.
Yeah, I think it's Sapin. It doesn't matter. He was
Capon. I don't know.
Sapon the third. He was on my radar for a while, and maybe your Aldrich Potgieter theory. He's missed 3 cuts in a row. Maybe he's done with that.
Right.
But he had his best event at the American Express. Finished T12 there, and he's been crap off the tee and on approach since then. He seems lost. I am not interested whatsoever. Guys that I am somewhat interested in though. Noah Goodwin's been flashing some form, was playing very well through 2.5 rounds last week. Sami Valimaki, one of my calls of the year last year to play well in Mexico, duked it out with Jake Knapp. He is at 6,600, been playing some pretty solid golf. And lastly, who was I looking at down here? Yeah, Rakuya Hoshino. Cut T64, T48 is the last 3 events, but I like the way his approach play is trending. So worth a flyer right there. You mentioned Taylor Montgomery too, 6,000 to 1. Like, he's a great putter. He hits it long. He's made 3 of the last 4 cuts. He could do a little something here.
A little something, something.
A little something, something. Team on.
A little something, something. Hey, do you wanna hear the placeholder lineup that I put in when I start our contest? Just because it makes me pop up a lineup immediately.
Yeah, and that's the one that
without reading your article, without talking today, I had it set as Tony Finau, Jason Day, Steven Yeager, Thomas Detry. I'm gonna blow your mind here. Matt McCarty and Victor Perez.
What? That fit.
These are all people we just talked about. How crazy is that?
Keep it.
I mean, I took second place last contest when we did our show, and I made all my notes, and then I got real busy, and then I fell asleep, and then I didn't set my lineup, and my placeholder probably should have won. Probably should have won last week.
Yeah, you just got edged out. I haven't been doing this, but I do the same thing most weeks. I'll put in like my gut lineup where I just kind of look at guys that I've been keying in on, guys who've been trending well that I like for the course. And I haven't been keeping that lineup in a contest, nor have I been tracking it. But I kind of want to start doing that where I track that versus let's look at the data, let's look at the courses, let's do all the things that everybody else does. Just trust the gut, I think, is the main moral of the story here.
I love it. All right, we got. I'm already a minute over, so let's get this done. Who is winning? Call your shot.
Who is winning? You know what? I am going to go a little off the board, even though it's in the 9K range. I'm going to go with Davis Thompson.
I like it. I'm going Tony Finau. I like Tony. Man. It's about time for him to just put it back together.
I mean, is it?
Yeah, because I like him. He's fun.
Yeah, I like him too. He just keeps having kids, man. He's got 6 kids now.
He's got to stop doing that. Yeah.
The Mormon thing.
That's right. All right, let's get into what was your favorite mid-range pivot? Who's your guy?
Mid-range pivot. You talking like mid-8s down to...
Yeah, like high 7s, mid-8s. What you got?
We mentioned him. I think he profiles similarly. They kind of look similar as far as their height and their swings. We'll go with Detry if you'll allow it at 8,600.
I will allow it. I already wrote it down for myself. We did it again, just like last week.
It was Aaron Rye, I think, last time.
It was Aaron Rye.
And he had a good week at the Players. Not like top 10, got to have him on your team, but good. Very good.
Yeah, but he did the job.
He T14, I think.
The job, sir. He did the job.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's get me a value pick. Give me a value pick. I'm going to write mine down before you get there. Go ahead.
So we're going 7, like low 7s down to the 6s?
Yes, sir.
I'll just do it, man. I'm going to go with my boy, Victor Perez.
Oh, I like it. All right, VP. I'm going to go with Matt McCarty. I think you're right, man. He's doing well. I like him.
So he's going to stay. He's going to carry over from your placeholder lineup to your actual lineup.
I know. I like it. I dig it. I'm into it. All right. Did you look at odds this week or did you not look at odds?
I see Scotty's 3.5 to 1. I see Rory's 6.5 to 1. Whatever Davis Thompson is, bet him. Bet Joel Dahmen for a top 10. I don't know, but not much beyond that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna keep that balanced lineup, but I will. Right? Maybe I'll put it in $1 lineup and just see how it does. Maybe that's how I would do that. All right, brother. I really appreciate you. I noticed that you did your article this week, so head on over to drroto.com and read Adam's article over there. We also have the cheat sheet that Adam and I usually fill out, and sometimes Doc, and sometimes a few other people. Hey, man, Burry Mark still throwing out NHL stuff. We got the Madman Heat over at himself doing MMA and wrestling content. We got the college basketball guys, one and done. They are just tearing it up, talking about the college basketball tournament. We got Lou Landers and the baseball crew getting ready to do that. We got Fuego Steve. I don't know if you've been in the Discord lately, Adam, But Fuego Steve is dropping like basketball bets on the daily and just tearing it up. So you got to get into the Discord over drroto.com. And of course, you get to watch us every Wednesday, or at least, 2 out of every 3 Wednesdays, we'll call it. All right, Bradley, I really appreciate it. Good luck this week in the contest. I am Johnny Danger for Mr. Adam White. We're going to get out of here. Y'all have a good day. Click the right button. It helps.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.